the way I look at it is anything over 180 feet per second, it's shooting at 10 grains per pound, is a fast bow. High 70s is pretty fast. Over 180 is a fast bow. Okay? You get into high 180s, it's very fast. 190 and above is smoking. 200 feet per second is the holy grail. Okay? Very few bows you're going to find that ever hit 200 feet per second. If a guy says his bow's shooting 200 feet per second, I'd be really wary of that. He's either shooting an arrow that's really lightweight, or he's pulling back further than 28 inches. There's all kinds of methods. I'm going to get to that in a second. So, if you're looking at a bow, if you want a high performance bow, you want something in the high 170s, 178, 179, over 180. Which prime is about 182 to 184. You can find those bows out there. If you find a bowyer that's worth his salt, that's a skilled bowyer, he can make bows in the 180s, lower 180s, mid 180s. 190 is kind of hard to reach. There's only a few bow makers out there. I know in the United States there's not many that make bows that reach 190 feet per second. So that's kind of rare. But so when you're testing bows at 10 grains per pound, you're going to look for those numbers. You're going to look for something around 180 feet per second, in that zone right there, and you got yourself a nice shooting bow, high performance bow. Now there's some people that test their bows at 9 grains per pound. Okay, if in that case you're going to want a bow that shoots 10 feet per second faster. So, in other words, if instead of a bow shooting 180, you're going to want a bow that shoots 190 or to 200 feet per second. 10 feet per second faster than a 10 grain per pound bow. So that's a good range to look for. So if a bow's shooting 9 grains per pound, you want to look for a bow that's shooting around the high 180s to 190 and up to 200 feet per second. That's for 9 grains per pound. I'm not going to get into the other ones. Now, there's called IBO is the way they test their bows. If they shoot 5 grains per pound, they take a 70-pound bow and they shoot 5 grains per pound. And that's how they're getting these ridiculous numbers like 240, 300 feet per second. I think they use that method for compound bows to get these high numbers. So I'd be very wary of that. So that's a good standard to go by. It's 10 grains per pound. I like to use that standard. It's a good round number. 10 grains and 200 feet per second is the holy grail. It's like that's like every bowyers that want a fast bow, they try to shoot for 200 feet per second, which is very rare. Okay. All right, what to look for in videos. So I got a bow here, one of my early ones. It's a lighter draw bow, so it's easier to draw in here. Now, when you see videos and guys claiming their bows shoot this fast or that fast, all right, first of all, I'd be very wary about anybody finger shooting a bow, because whether they mean to or not, they could overdraw the bow past 28 inches. That's another thing I want to stress. All those numbers I gave you earlier is that 28-inch draw, okay? So should be 10 grains per pound at 28 inches draw, or 9 grains per pound, 28 inches draw, or whatever grains per pound, whatever they specify. So, and they should specify the grains per pound, the weight of the arrow, the weight of the bow, and the draw length. If they're not specifying that, I'd be very wary of that, because you have nothing to go on. All right. So now, guys that are finger shooting their bows and testing them, they might not have a shooting machine, so they're just shooting their bow like that. And the problem with that is, to get an accurate speed, it's tough, because either they could overdraw the bow or underdraw the bow, or there's methods that you can use to make the arrow go faster if you're finger shooting. So the general rule, or what a lot of bowyers say, is the shooting machine is always faster than finger shooting a bow. I don't agree with that, because I've actually shot one of my bows before faster than a shooting machine, not really knowing. I guess I ate my Wheaties that morning or whatever. I had a nice stiff arm, maybe pushed through the shot, maybe overdrew my bow just a little bit more, a 1/4 inch more. That'll add on 2 or 3 feet per second. So they might not necessarily try to cheat, but it just happens. It's hard to be accurate. Shooting machine is going to be your most accurate method. I'm going to talk to you about the shooting machine in a second, and the method I use to shoot my bows, to see what speeds they're going. Now, things to look out for when you're shooting bows and they're doing arrow speeds. One thing to definitely look out for is overdrawing. If they're pulling back their ear, they're getting another 2 or 3 inches of draw on there, the bow's going to go another 10, 20, 30 feet per second faster. So watch out for that one. Another one is snap shooting. If you're seeing them pull back the bow and you're just going like that and they're just shooting their arrows off, that's called snap shooting. And you can get faster arrow speed with that, because as you're pulling back, you're pushing forward with your hand. So if you notice, if you see a side profile view, their hand's going to be going like this. One hand's going one way, one hand's going the other way, and it's actually pushing the arrow faster, and you can get more speed like that. And another one's just holding back here and pushing through the shot. You can do that. Another one is in the Middle Eastern type shooting, where they'll cant the bow. After they shoot, they cant the bow. I think that can give you more speed. And maybe twist the bow too. I'm not sure if that gives you more speed or not, but that could give you more speed. So be wary of those things. I think I covered most of those methods right there. So what you want to look for, if someone is finger shooting, you want to look for somebody that's shooting like an Olympic shooter. So, and they might even have a little, what do you call those things? A little trigger thing here or whatever that lets go once the arrow gets to a certain length. So, and that's another thing to look for is the arrow length. If the arrow's going over 28 inches or not, you don't know sometimes. I mean, we talked about that with draw length. So they should have a mark on the arrow or something to let them know, or that little mechanism, that clicker. I think it's called a clicker or something. What was the other method of? I don't know. I got lost here. What you want is you want someone that looks like they're an Olympic shooter. Okay, so you want them to pull back on the bowstring. You want them to hold steady and hold everything steady for whatever, a couple seconds, 5 seconds, and everything should be steady, and boom, just like that. That's the most accurate speed you're going to get from a finger shooter. So if you see videos and the guy's doing that, he's trying really hard to get very accurate speed. And the other thing is this too, if the guy is getting consistent numbers, suppose he's shooting and he's getting 180, 184, 185, 179, what the hell is that? Those are inconsistent numbers. You want somebody that's shooting their bow and they're getting like 180, 181, 182, 180, 181. That's consistent numbers. So that's some things to look for when you are when you're looking at these videos and seeing if the guys are kind of faking it, or skewing the numbers, or making their bows go a little faster than they probably are. All right, there's a lot of skilled bowyers out there. If you're shopping for a bow that's high performance, do your research. Shop around, talk to people, shoot bows. I don't want to give out a bunch of names because I don't know if that's legal or whatever on these videos. So I don't want to put names out there, but there's a lot of good bowyers out there that are making high performance bows. Most of your off-the-shelf bows are not going to be that good in high performance. As I said earlier, my buddy's got a bow that's it's an off-the-shelf bow and a brand name bow, long bow, 50-pound bow, and my 43-pound bow smoked his bow. by whatever it was, 10 or 12 feet per second. So how can a 43-pound bow shoot faster than a 50-pound bow by 10 feet per second? You know, that says it right there. That's just I don't know what to say about that. I don't even know how you can make a bow that slow. It's kind of funny. And we had a discussion about that too. We had a disagreement about arrow speeds. He said a heavier draw bow will always shoot faster than a lighter draw bow. All right. Yeah, do your research. Just get out there and hunt around, talk to people, and don't always go by some of these people. They're kind of clueless. I mean, go by you know, people that you can kind of trust with their information. There's probably a lot of YouTube videos that people are real sincere about making their videos and stuff. But you know, you got these people out there with their little you know, $100, $150 bows, claiming that their bows shoot really fast and stuff. You know, fast to what? You know, how fast you could throw a stone or throw a spear? Yeah, it's faster than that. But you know, some of these people that claim to have a fast bow, they don't even know how fast it really is. So, all right, here's one of the last points for now anyway. A fast bow does not always shoot well. Okay, so here's another thing to be wary of. If someone's claiming to have a fast bow, it could very well be a fast bow, but does it shoot well? So I'll give you a quick example what to look for in a bow that shoots well or not. And here's my bow. Let me go this way, I guess. And I don't know if you can see the tip. Yeah, I think you can. And now what you want to do to see if a bow is vertically unstable or not, it's called vertically unstable or stable. Okay. Now what you want to do is you want to take your bow, put it in front of you like this, and pull up and down on the string, just like that. If those limbs really don't want to move, that's a stable bow. This bow's pretty darn stable. They hardly want to move. Okay. So that's what you want to look for. Now there's a lot of bows out there that people claim they're fast, and they're fast. And usually them bows, some of them bows, they have a profile that might look like that. Not all of them are unstable, but they can be unstable. So so what you want to do if you get your hands on one of those bows and you want to check it and make sure it's stable, because if it's unstable, it's going to be very sensitive to shoot. It will shoot, but not well. If your form is off a little bit, the arrow is going to be off. You're going to be off your mark. So here, I got an example of an unstable bow. All right. This is a bow I made a couple months ago. I went a little bit longer. I changed up a couple things with the design, just to experiment to see how the bow would turn out. So now this bow, this is a highly unstable bow. Now I'm going to, I don't know if you can see the tip there. Okay, I'm gonna take the string and push up and down on it. Look what happens. I'm not even hardly touching the string now. It's just, that's what an unstable bow does. Push up and down on the string, and the limbs will flop back and forth. Now, if your bow does that now, if you own a bow and it does that, you might be able to help that with raising the brace height by tightening your string or twisting your string so it's a little shorter, and making your brace height a little bit further out. That could correct that problem, and you could possibly shoot a little bit more accurate, or a lot more accurate. So that's what you look for in an unstable bow, as far as vertically unstable or stable. So I would stay away from a bow like that. Now those bows that can shoot really fast, they could shoot fast, but they might not be accurate. So I'd be very wary of that. All right, that's enough for now. I'll get back to you with the rest of the info here. Okay, I got some closing notes here about the whole situation we were talking about. All right, a flatter trajectory and faster moving arrow is always going to be more accurate at longer yardages. So we discussed that. So now you know that. If you never shoot much over 20 yards, a slower shooting bow can be plenty accurate. So if you you don't need the most highest performing bow. If you're shooting and you're just shooting for fun and you're enjoying yourself, that's the main thing. Have fun and enjoy yourself. And you're just shooting at lower yardages, 10 to 20 yards, maybe doing 3D now and then. It's fine. But if you start getting competitive, or you want a little bit better accuracy, especially anything over 17 or 20 yards, you might consider going to a higher performance bow. All right, advantages of a high performance bow. Shooting a higher performance bow, you got better accuracy, like I just said, whether competing at target, 3D, or hunting. Dropping your bow weight and shooting an arrow just as fast or faster. So, a lot of these guys are hunting, they're getting older, they need to go to a lighter weight bow. You might consider a high performance bow. You could go into a high performance bow. You're either going to shoot the arrow the same speed or even faster than your heavier bow. So, and you could be more accurate because you won't have to hold back a heavy draw weight bow. You could sit back there and relax for 10 or 15 seconds and not be struggling and shaking with that bow. So your accuracy should get a little bit better also. Penetration on the animal, it's self-explanatory. If your arrow's moving faster, you're going to have better penetration. You're going to shoot, hit a rib, go right through it. Maybe, do pass-throughs on your animals or whatever. Your arrows, okay, this is for your 3D shooters. Now I got a buddy, he's got a 50-pound bow. He's I don't want to say too much, but he's got a 50-pound bow recurve. He has a shoulder injury. He can't pull it back all the way, and so the string's not even leaving the curls, the recurves on the tips of the bow. So he's not getting the full potential of that bow. When the string doesn't leave the limbs, you're not getting the full potential of that bow. And I've seen his arrows all the time bounce off 3D targets. And I guess it's something about, a man needs to shoot a heavyweight bow, or if he's not a man, so you got to shoot your 50-pound bow. But if he went down to 35, 40 pounds, maybe he could possibly go back to a full draw again and get a lot more arrow speed, and I guarantee you, them arrows are not going to be bouncing off those 3D targets. Also, women and children. If your arrows are bouncing off the targets, you might want to think about getting a bow that's a little bit higher performance, because you won't have that problem anymore. And as I said, if you go to a higher performance bow, you can go drop down your draw weight, and you get more practice time in. So instead of doing 50 shots, maybe you can go up to 100 or 150 shots and enjoy your shooting more, instead of struggling with a higher draw weight bow. So let me see. All right, the bottom line. If you want to be more accurate and competitive, past the 20-yard mark, shoot a faster bow. Bottom line, it's going to be more accurate. Anything over 18, 20 yards, it's not going to be, the arrows are not going to be dropping. You've seen on the thing, the one bow I was shooting at the 194 per second bow, that it would only drop, what was it, 7 inches, I believe, in 30 yards. That's pretty flat trajectory. All right, so do your research, shop around, see what's out there. Don't fall for the things I said with certain videos and stuff. Watch out for those videos. Not necessarily those guys are meant to cheat. Maybe they don't even know any better, and they're just shooting through a chronograph. I want to discuss one more thing. The way I test my bows. Okay, when I test my bows, it's usually standard brace height, of about 7 inches. I use that because if you go with a shorter brace height, arrows can go a bit faster. So between 7 and 6 3/4 inch, it's fair brace height, and most of my bows are made for around 7 inch brace height. So I use this. The string I use is a fast flight string. That's a general term for high performance non-stretch string, and I go a few strands. I don't make a skinny string, but I go a few strands less, just so when I do my serving, that the knock of the arrow is loose on the string. I don't want the knock to be tight on the string, and I'll tell you why in a second. But some people might say, oh, well, you're cheating because, you know, your knock should fit tight on the string, to at least to a certain tightness, not really tight, because that's the average. That's a general rule when you're shooting a bow, that the knock should clip onto the string. Well, I'll tell you, when you have a knock that's tight on the string, your speed at arrow can vary as much as like 2 to 3, maybe even 4 feet per second if you have a really tight knock on a string. So when I test my bows, I use a loose knock, so I call it raw arrow speed. So there's nothing holding that arrow back. You know, that arrow is coming off that string smooth and not on it at all. So if I use a knock that's tight on a string, or it could vary, sometimes it will be loose, sometimes it'll be just medium tight, sometimes it'll be real tight, I'm going to get variations in arrow speed. Now, how am I supposed to compare one bow to the other when I have these variations? So I can't deal with that. So what I'm going to explain that eventually in my website, how I test my bows, because I don't want people coming back to me, your bow shot, you claim it shot this fast, it only shoots this fast. Okay, well, if you put your knock on the bow that fits the standard how it should fit when you're shooting a bow, that should clip on, you're going to lose 2 feet, on average 2 feet per second, 3 feet if it's fitting a little bit tighter. So just got to take that into account. When you finger shoot, you could be shooting a little slower, or you could be shooting faster than a shooting machine. Like I said before, that doesn't always apply. They say it's usually slower. I think if everything is dead even, it probably could be slower. But so I want to explain that to you. And I tested my bows at 28 inches. So I guess I covered most everything, and I want to say hey, thanks for tuning in. And I'm Rich Red, and you can find me at redbow.com. And here we go. I'll plug my site again. There it is. So check out my site.